Let's rock.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. It is the Crack House Podcast. It is Sunday night, 9 o'clock. My name is Michael Sullivan. Thanks for joining me. With me, as always, is Chris Muscalino. What's up, dude?
What's up, Miguel? Hola. What's up, Crack House people? And if everybody had a good week, pretty interesting week. Starting off with the Oscars, which I guess we'll start off with. How's your week?
Pretty uneventful.
It was a good thing.
Wasn't bad. Yeah, I just had my phone blow up. Like, this show's coming out basically a week after everything happened. For those of you that have been living in a cave for a week, everyone knows what happened at the Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Just went on stage, lost it, smacked the shit out of him. I actually just saw today he withdrew from the Academy now.
I thought he got kicked out, Mike.
They said he was going to get kicked out, so he just resigned from the Academy.
I think they talked about somebody else getting kicked out a while ago. He's not the first that.
Well, there was a whole big thing of a lot of people that were the Will Smith supporters online were, well, what about Harvey Weinstein? And who is it? Roman Polanski.
Yep.
And maybe one or two. I think Mel Gibson's name got thrown around a little bit. So they were like, none of I don't know I think Harvey Weinstein was thrown out. I don't think Polanski was. He just, that guy raped a 13-year-old girl back in the early 70s, drugged and raped her, got away with it, and then just took off to Europe because technically he's still a wanted man back in the States.
Yeah, he hightailed it, bro. There's been a lot of sketchy dudes in Hollywood throughout the years. I mean, you named a slew of them, and I'm sure there are more that are escaping both of our memories. But it's pretty interesting. I didn't see it live. We were talking off air about how I guess you were doing some a comedy show.
I was at the Eastville Comedy Club, and I walked out from the stage area into the bar area. There's like a little door that separates it, so you can't hear anything really what's going on. Outside at the bar area, you heard people like screaming. So I had already done my set. I walked out, see what was going on. Everyone's like, have you looked at your phone in the last 5 minutes? I'm like, no, I've been inside watching, whoever was on stage. And they're like, look at your phone. And I open my phone and there's like messages from at least 5 or 6 different people going, what the fuck just happened? And somebody sent me the video right away. There was the one that's floating around is that Japanese version. Where you see
Japanese version, Australian version.
Yeah, the Japanese one, they said it gives you everything. And dude, you watch it and so someone was saying today they just think he was drunk. That was the other thing floating around today. They think he was drunk because he does, when you watch it, he laughs it off. Then he turns and looks at Jada Pinkett like, she gives him that face like, if you don't take care of this, I'm going to make your life a living hell. That's kind of what it, to me, looked like what happened. and then he just felt like, I got to go do something now about this.
It's so many. There was so many takes on it. I think it's a comedian's like. I mean, we talked about different perspectives on from the comedy perspective. In terms of like I heard a couple of comedians now talk about even entertainers in the DJ business now. They're like kind of worried about when you're performing. Do you really got to worry about somebody coming up and taking a shot at you? Like being from New York or New Jersey or Philadelphia or the tri-state area, you're always kind of on guard. So I guess more so than different parts of the country where, I shouldn't say it doesn't happen, but, I'll tell you, even DJing stuff, Mike, I've been in bars, restaurants, places throughout all my years. And, you always keep an eye on people. You get the drunk person, coming up to you asking for a request and guy kind of looks unhinged. I've had a couple times where I've had to call security throughout the years. I'm sure, like you dealt with it through the law enforcement end of it. So you got that perspective. You also have the other perspective in the sense that, what were they talking about? They were talking about, Smith is a pretty interesting guy. He was a clean-cut guy for many years. He's obviously had some problems with his marriage. He has an open marriage. And the thing is, I mean, with all the jokes that are going around, I mean, you think you get kind of bent out of shape about somebody screwing your wife versus someone making fun of alopecia, that kind of deal.
That was the other thing. Someone said, like, I listened to a few shows where they broke down the video. When he makes when he says G.I. Jane, I think he looks directly at Will Smith and tells him like flat out, like, I'm being nice right now. Like, yeah. I can go for your jugular with everything that's gone on in your life in the last, what's it been, like 2 years since all that shit happened with the open marriage and all that stuff. And this guy came out, Jaden Smith's friend is having sex with what's her face, Jada Pinkett Smith. So I mean, listen, no one deserves to get smacked like that. I think there's a lot more to the story too. I think there's a lot of bad blood too that went back and forth between these two over the years. He's taken a lot of shots. I mean, Chris Rock has taken a lot of shots at her and him over the years. There was that whole thing where I forget what movie they thought he was going to get nominated for, Will Smith. He didn't get nominated. Jada Pinkett says, we're boycotting the Oscars. And I think that's when the whole thing hashtag like Oscars so white started and all of this stuff. And Chris Rock, I believe was the host, came out and said, what are you boycotting for? You weren't even invited to this thing because he wasn't nominated. So, I mean, and that's almost 10 years ago. So there's been a lot of back and forth. I think more maybe from the Chris Rock camp going after them than them going after him. But like I said, he did not deserve what happened. Will Smith, everyone thinks he's here's a guy that's had like a 4-decade career of basically keeping his nose clean, never having, you've never heard of this guy in trouble with the police, drinking, driving, anything, assault, anything like that.
He's a clean guy. I mean, as far as I know,
he seemed like this family guy, made a whole bunch of movies that everyone loved. And now his career is over because of this. Like, he will be known. Sure, he won the Academy Award, but he's known forever as, that's the guy that smacked Chris Rock at the Oscars. That's it. We talked about it. My wife's talked about it. I mean, like I said, we have friends of all colors and creeds and races and religions and stuff. The people that, are African American or Caribbean that we know, they were like, they kind of said the same thing that I did. It's like, why get bent out of shape over something ridiculous? Well, I shouldn't say it's ridiculous. It's a serious thing. We talked about it last week in terms of losing your hair and stuff. And I guess when it's a medical issue, it's a whole thing. But, they were saying this kind of the same thing that I did. Here you are taking all these jokes. And maybe it was like a pimple that burst. The guy was just getting beat up for 2 years and he kind of snapped. But my first inclination, Mike, is I thought it was fake. I thought originally that the guy hauled off and punched him. Yeah. Then when I went back to watch it, it was an open slap. And then, like, even Chris Rock's reaction from it, I mean, it's like, I said it on Twitter, it's like either the guy's got a really good chin or Will Smith hits like a girl. And just something didn't jive. And, obviously, it's kind of like a little conspiracy theory. I'm sure it happened.
afterwards, I read something to the effect that they were kind of squashing everything. Denzel Washington got involved. It was just really a surreal type thing, but like, like Audra's friends and my friends, you know, they kind of laughed it off. It's like, I'm not trying to make light of alopecia because it can be traumatic for people, but it's like,
Yeah,
of
but
all the things that you're going to get bent out of shape of, and to do that, I mean,
you know what, dude? Here's my thing with that. This is what pisses me off. It seems like no one else knew she had that.
right?
It seems like
Right.
so. So if he makes that joke, it's like if you're sitting down and you have no legs and your legs are, but you got a blanket over you, and I start making jokes about not having legs, and people go, "Wow, that was really insensitive." I
And
don't
here's my
know.
bigger thing. Here's my bigger thing, Mike. You know what? Let's say, you didn't know anything, right? If you take Ricky Gervais's act out of the equation from 2 years ago, I could almost see a little bit more justification with this. But I went back and I saw something about it today, the Ricky Gervais speech, where he just ripped people to shreds. And some of the shit that he said was really scathing type stuff. So here's the thing. I'm not saying what he did was right, wrong, and different, and I don't care if you agree with it or not. But nobody came up and took a swing at Ricky Gervais 2 or 3 years ago whenever that speech happened. And my thing is, if that didn't happen, I could almost see a little bit more justification for it. Because up until that point, you've had some jokes here and there at the expense of these people, but never at the level that Gervais did 2 or 3 years ago. And I kind of think it set the stage for this, where whether Rock,
but you're telling me that joke was.
I don't think it was bad at all. I don't think it was bad at all.
I've heard so many professional comedians say, he goes, that guy got smacked for one of the worst throwaway jokes.
I don't think it was bad at all. I really don't. But I'm just saying, I think the stage was set the way the Gervais did it and went after people that I think, like you said a moment ago, I think the fact that they probably had bad blood, he's probably taking his shots. This guy's got pummeled for the last 2 or 3 years, as far as having an open marriage. And my thing is this: if you're going to go after somebody, I'm going to go after somebody that's banging my wife or making comments, like really scathing type stuff. As far as alopecia, me personally, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to really know the history about, what, with him and Smith, him and Chris Rock. It was a very weird situation overall. And I'll tell you what, part of me still believes it could have been, staged. The ratings were atrocious even with that happening, Mike.
I don't think it was staged, because from what I've seen already too, like Chris Rock has already done like 2 or 3 shows in Boston since this has happened.
Yeah.
And
I heard he's kind of piped people down, who have been, screaming Will Smith.
Yeah, he's had people removed from the show, and he's not even talking about it on stage. He's still playing, saying the whole thing of, I got to process all of this and
right
figure it out. And I mean,
what's to figure out, dude? You got your ass smacked in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, in all fairness to the guy kind of held himself together, and he was a classy,
Oh, he didn't know what was
going. I mean, it could have gone a really bad way. Like, if he had gone back at him,
Here's my thing: like, where were the security people? Like, no one comes out. Everyone just lets this play out.
That's my other piece. You said it too. Like, the guy kind of like was walking in slow motion. It took him like, I had to walk 20 yards or 10 yards, whatever it was, to reach the guy. And obviously, he's coming at you.
But
I mean,
but it's not even.
He's coming to shake your hands, and I mean.
After it happens, you don't see anyone like come out off the sides of the.
That's what I'm saying. No security, nothing. Hey, look, you got to get out of here, bro. I mean,
they said the police were there a few minutes after that had happened, and supposedly Chris Rock said, that's it. I don't want to do anything about it.
I want to know where's Kevin Costner, my bodyguard. Where's Kevin Costner, the bodyguard, bro?
He wanted nothing to do with that.
He wanted nothing to do with that. He was scared of Ali, huh?
Yeah. That's what someone else said too. Like, oh man, he should have. I'm surprised Chris Rock didn't come back with like, that's as hard as you hit Ali. Like that's, I mean, listen, the whole thing is just, it's completely bizarre that this happens. And then within what 10 minutes he wins the best actor award.
He wins the best Oscar
and comes out,
right.
doesn't even apologize to Chris Rock about it. Apologizes to the Academy because I guess he doesn't want to get kicked out. Starts crying, talking about protecting the girls that were in the movie. What?
I was just going to mention that just a second ago. See, you went from like you said, looking at the wife who really, I guess, had a problem with it to begin with. Her looking at him going from, I guess, being laughing to all of a sudden walking to the stage. Then I saw something when he came back. She was kind of giggling that it happened, and then 5 minutes later, he's kicking into the whole pursuit of happiness where he's trapped in the closet and crying and breaking down like his world is coming to an end. I mean, either A, you're on some sort of drugs, B, you're unstable, or 3, just having a mental breakdown. I just can't.
Well, I mean, I know Stern.
Or 4, he was acting. I mean, to go through that gamut of emotions in that short period of time. I mean,
I know Stern said something about it. Like he goes, this is the actions of an I think Stern talked about everyone,
I read Stern.
Everyone obviously talked about like this is just an unstable person, and I think you might have hit it on the head. Who knows what this guy is on? And I'm not saying he's on drugs. I'm saying he's on like Lexapro, Zol, whatever kind of like
some sort of antidepressant shit.
Antidepressant stuff. Maybe he took it, didn't take it. Maybe he mixed it with booze, or maybe something else. Who knows? But like you said, this guy, he's marred now. He's scarred for the rest of his career as that guy. Chris Rock is just like, that guy's got to live with
let's put things in
for the rest of his life.
He may be scarred, but here's the deal. Weinstein, I guess, is still making royalties off his movies. A lot of those people. Look at Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson basically insulted Jewish people. Like he said all sorts of anti-Semitic shit. He's still around. The Jewish people have a really big influence in Hollywood, and he's still around. So, listen, I'm sure he'll get scarred by it.
But
sure
you but Mel Gibson also probably ate shit for a decade too.
He did a lot. He had I guess the Christ movie. He had to produce himself.
Yeah, but he also he did Passion of the Christ before he had his little meltdown.
It was right about that time, Mike, and he had he couldn't get
right when he was going through the divorce and everything else. And then he had his meltdown. He made all that money back. The Passion of the Christ, I think, made like $500 million.
It made him a fortune, but he couldn't get funding for it. Nobody wanted to touch him.
But as far as like after that, once he had that meltdown tirade, he was kind of like ostracized from Hollywood. Like he hasn't made a studio.
Absolutely.
He's got no. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been over a decade. I think just now they're starting to do Lethal Weapon 5. It's going to happen.
And that's what I'm saying.
But so Will Smith is probably going to go take a 5-year vacation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But he's still a young enough guy. And,
he's only 52, 53.
And listen, he's a talented guy. I mean, despite whatever he's going through, if Stern's right, or if I hit it on the head, whatever the deal is, the guy will work again. It's not like he's not going to work again in Hollywood. It may be a couple years, for it to wear off, but this country's got ADD, bro. And Hollywood in general, like you said, you rattled off a whole bunch of people at the beginning of the show that people just forgot about. I mean, it was very strange, just a very strange thing.
And then the way like the hypocrites kind of like in the audience, they didn't know what to do. It was like half of them got up and applauded him. The other half were like, what the fuck just happened?
Heard some laughing in the back. I heard some cheering.
Yeah, like you said, I think everyone thought when that smack happened, it was staged.
I thought it was a punch.
I
thought it was a punch until I really looked at it.
Until he starts screaming, keep your wife's name. Keep my wife's name out of your mouth.
And you brought up a good point off air. It's like, okay, the guy's cursing. They bloop everything out on the damn show. Here the guy is, and he's saying it over and over and over again, no censors. And here I am. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it real time. And I'm looking at the ratings last year, and it got 9 million. It was the worst rated show ever in Oscar history. This year, with all the hoopla and all the nonsense regarding this incident, it only got 15 million viewers, which is still amongst the worst 3 in Oscar history in terms
I'm
of
sure I'm sure the viewership went up after that happened. Like, turn it on now.
Right.
Yeah, I listen. This is just more. It's millionaires having problems with each other. So who gives a shit? You know, I really don't care. Will Smith is another guy. I looked up. Will Smith is worth close to $400 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Like
I don't.
he's not going to work for. He's not going to work for a couple years. Big deal.
I don't care. He's another weird dude. I think he's a Scientologist too. The both of them, him and his wife, just a lot of kookiness. The
Have
last
you ever
couple of
seen,
years.
Mike, on the same subject, Scientology? Have you ever been to like California or Florida and seen the big Scientology churches?
I drove by the church in
Dude,
California.
they're huge, man.
Yeah.
The place in California is like beyond.
But have you ever watched, like, now going into that, they had that HBO had that awesome documentary about going clear and with how they
Leanne Rimes, right?
No, not the
No,
Leanne Remini one. She had the TV show. HBO did like a 2-hour documentary that just delved really into it about basically if you're in Scientology and you're not famous, they just treat you like shit. And when you're like a Tom Cruise, John Travolta, you know, that caliber of a star, you're like Jesus walking.
Right.
You know, they showed a video of like, it was like Tom Cruise's like 40th birthday party. They rented out, Scientology rented out like an 800-foot yacht for him, had this amazing party on a boat. And
well, there's another guy. I mean, Top Gun 2 is coming out. They finally got a release date at the end of May.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, May.
So I'm super psyched to see that. That looks good. You know, Val Kilmer is in it. We did a show last year about Val Kilmer, you know, that special, which is really good. I don't know how the hell they're going to manage that because his voice is effed, you know, unless they show him like as, you know, I guess disabled or something in it. You know, I mean, I don't know how they're going to pull it off.
Well, they could dub his voice if they have to.
I guess you're right.
So someone picked it up on a show I was listening to. If you hear it in the beginning, I think, who is it? Miles Teller plays Maverick's son or some shit like that.
Yeah.
They said Admiral, whatever it is, Wachowski or whatever the guy's name is. That's Iceman that requested him for Top Gun school or whatever.
Okay.
So who knows? I'm sure whatever Val Kilmer's role in the movie is, it's going to be very brief, very quick, in and out. And
let me ask you this, Mike. You know, this is in our wheelhouse. Is that the biggest movie of the 1980s?
No, I don't think so.
What's your nomination?
If you got to break it.
What's the biggest movie in the 1980s? Not necessarily in terms of box office, but just popularity, box office, everything combined. I would think Top Gun's up there, man.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, 1980.
You have 2 Raiders in that time period.
Temple of Doom,
no,
right?
I think you have all 3 are in the 80s.
Yeah, you're right. The
Last Crusade
89.
Last Crusade's 89. So there's 3. All right, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi are the 80s. The Rockies. What do you got? Rock
3, at least.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
All right, throw out a Goonies.
No, come on, man. You can't put
Goonies. Goonies is
on the same. That's not in the same token as those movies. Come on.
It's a great Goonies.
It's a great movie, but like when you think of the 80s and box office hits, I mean, Beverly Hills Cop.
What, you're not saying that? All right, yeah, all right. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. I think both of them, right, are in the 80s. All right, Trading Places.
Trading Places is up there.
48 hours.
I don't think that's in the
48 hours. 48 hours.
Those were big hits, but like when you talk about Top Gun, even like something like The Color of Money, you know, 86. I'm just trying to think really big movies.
The Terminators.
Terminators was big.
You have Terminator 1, Terminator 2, I think is 91. All right, Rambo, First Blood.
It's up there.
I mean, that movie looks like it was made for like no budget. It's almost like a low budget action movie when you watch it now.
But I guess what I'm getting at is like, you know, for people our age, like if you think back, like,
oh no, it's up there. You're absolutely right in the sense that it's like the pantheon of big budget action movies.
Right.
Absolutely. But best movie of the I wouldn't throw it in best movie of the 80s. I mean, that's just
I don't know if it's the best movie, but I think it epitomizes the era. I mean.
Oh yeah, it's full of that like rah kind of
Ronald Reagan type stuff.
Yeah,
like that Born in the USA type stuff.
God bless America. We're gonna win. It's
I mean, I had my T-shirt,
metaphor.
I had my hair, I had the aviators
Yeah.
Thought I was going to fly a plane.
Yeah, the Cold War. I mean, they're shooting down Russians, obviously. Yeah, but then you can go into like almost all of those type of action movies, like First Blood Part 2, Commando, the Missing in Actions with Chuck Norris, Delta Force, bro. Delta Force. Chuck Norris in Delta Force is one of the coolest movies ever made.
Listen, there were a ton of good movies there. I'm just saying, like, when people look back at that era and that decade, I think you hit a lot of them. But I mean, there are like 5 or 6 of them that are really the creme de la creme. The Rockies.
Oh yeah, obviously the
Empire Strikes Back, like you mentioned. Return of the Jedi was in '83.
Top Gun is that like big budget. It's like it is that kind of creme de la creme of like big budget American action movie, and the action in it isn't fighting or anything like that. It's just planes flying around. Where it's
going back to Will Smith and Scientology thing for a second. I mean, Cruise is another guy. I mean, think about him. He had a meltdown jumping on the couch with Oprah all those years ago. And granted, it's not on the same vein as going on the stage of the Oscars and smacking the shit out of somebody. But for a while, I think he kind of got hurt too by that. He was looked at as a crazy guy, and I think his association with Scientology kind of really hurt him a little bit too. He kind of got looped into that whole thing. But going back to Smith for a second, I'm sure he'll work again. I'm sure it'll blow over, and I think you'll get a little bit more out of it throughout the years. In terms of, well, I shouldn't say years. You're going to get more information over the course of the rest of this year in terms of what happened. I think there's a little bit more to that story, like you said, as far as the backdrop between him and Chris Rock. And I also think that you may get a couple of things that would shed a little bit more light on the situation after the fact.
Yeah, obvious. Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be a whole thing will come out about it down, who knows down the road. I know that they're saying they want to bury the hat. Will Smith came out. He did apologize to Chris Rock. And then I think that's the same thing where he, resigned from the Academy. And I think that was a smart move too. Cause like I think he knew he was going to get kicked out. So might as well just try and resign and I guess good standing or whatever you want to call it.
I read there was stories that he had gotten asked to leave at the Oscars. Then
they said that was complete BS.
That was complete BS. There's so many misinformation, and for an event like that big, for people not to know what happened, like I said, just part of me still really thinks it was staged. Nah. Maybe I'm off base. Maybe it's tinfoil hat type stuff.
But would you? Okay, then I'll pose this question. For $10 million, now you already have Chris Rock money. Let's just say Chris Rock is worth $100 million.
Right.
For another $10 million, would you go through what that guy is going through right now? For $10 million.
I mean, really, what is he going through? I mean, he's going to get blackballed from Hollywood for a couple of years?
No, Chris Rock. I'm saying Chris Rock.
Oh, Chris Rock.
Would you want to be him? Would you go? You want to go home? You want to go home to your kids?
I'll play the other end of the coin, Mike. His comedy shows are sold out. The tickets have gone from $300 to $800.
But we were already just saying, like, if you got $100 million, you got to live with that stigma of getting smacked around on national TV. Do you want to live with that?
Me personally, no.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I say, like, I don't think this thing was staged at all. Because you just kind of like see his reaction. He's discombobulated after that of like, he's trying to compose himself.
He was just another weird reaction from him.
Yeah.
Like he looked kind of stunned, and then like he held his face, and then he was like back to normal. And listen, in all fairness for the guy did a great job of holding it in, and I guess just rolling with it and keeping the show going. Because I think if he had gone the other way, that whole show could have been ruined at that point.
Oh yeah, that's why I was saying I don't know how the security people don't come out. I guess I'm sure the producers are just sitting in a room going, just let it go. Let it go. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where it goes. Because he did hand out the award after that. And then I guess they cut the commercial. And that's when everything is kind of like, that's when people are running over to Will Smith. I guess Chris Rock just walks off the stage. And then Chris Rock caught a whole bunch of shit for calling out the winner as like 4 white dudes in Questlove.
Yeah. I saw that.
And one guy was Indian, and he was like, you know what? This is the highlight of my fucking life. And this dude's calling me a white guy.
Joke about it. Right? Yeah, you're right.
I guess he didn't give a shit about Chris getting slapped. So, like I said, I'm sure more will come out as the weeks go on about this. What's going to happen? What they're going to do?
And let me ask you a question, Mike. Do you think this happens if Ricky Gervais never gives that speech?
No, it would happen. Like I said, I think
you still think it would have happened. Even
like I said, I think there was bad blood.
Okay.
To begin with these two, and whatever happened,
I just don't remember the host going after the guest. The celebrities, the way that they.
I'll tell you this right now. I'm sure Mel Gibson is hoping Ricky Gervais hosts the Academy Awards next year and makes a joke. He'll go up and.
I don't think Gervais will ever come back. I mean,
he's just sitting back. I mean, but I think too, did Ricky Gervais have some history with any of these people? He was going after for the most part. He saw every one of those Ricky Gervais things. He goes after Hollywood itself.
He does
of what hypocrites and just vapid morons most of them are. And then he goes into like certain movie stars when he's introducing them. I mean, because he went after Mel Gibson. I mean, I remember him catching shit for one of the things he said about Tim Allen.
Yes.
There was the whole Tim Allen and Tom Hanks came out together to present an award. So Ricky Gervais goes into this whole thing about Tom Hanks. One guy is a 2-time Oscar winner. And I mean, Tom Hanks' resume, you can go on forever with it, has produced this many shows. He's won the Oscar twice. He's won Emmys for this. He's won Emmy, and he goes through all of these things. His movies have made a combined $9 billion. And then he goes, and Tim Allen, which was very funny. And Tim Allen kind of laughed it off as a joke. But a lot of people, he caught a lot of shit after that. Like Tim Allen's been around, had a successful TV show, he could have went after Tim Allen too for like, hey, remember that time he got locked up for a kilo of coke?
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is like there was some point that you're right. He absolutely went after Hollywood and the hypocrisy of it all. Look, he went after Apple, the CEO of Tim Cook. He's talking about, hey, there's Tim Allen. What's his face? The CEO of Apple. I don't even Paul, whatever the hell his name is. Tim Cook. Make a long story short, he said something about Tim Cook, and all of a sudden, in the same vein, he's talking about Apple being run by like a sweatshop in China.
Yeah,
and he's talking about. I watched the whole thing today, and it was on Facebook or whatever. And then he goes into DiCaprio, how DiCaprio is like dating like younger chicks, and he made a joke about that. And maybe there's not bad blood about with like Chris Rock, like and Will Smith, but I just got to believe like if that doesn't happen, the likelihood of this happening, I think maybe it still does happen, like you said, Mike.
Yeah, but see Chris Rock too, though, do this before Ricky Gervais. Like when he made that joke about you got to get invited. That was before Ricky Gervais was hosting. Yeah. So, I mean, Chris Rock isn't known for being the safe comedian that you hire. Yeah. He's going to talk about whatever he wants to talk about, whatever the political climate is in the country. He's going to talk about it. So this was going to happen no matter what. If he wants to make a joke about something, to me, the whole thing is on Will Smith. The way he reacted,
clearly,
he did, that's what it's all about right now. Because what if just Chris Rock made a joke about her dress? Would he have reacted the same way?
Hard to say.
I mean, she's got that she looked like Queen Elizabeth in that dress. If he would have found something funny to say about that dress, does Will Smith get up and smack him for that? You know, because
it was just so bizarre. Right, right.
She does that eye roll. Like we've all seen the video. He makes the joke. They show her. Will Smith is laughing. She does this eye roll of like, I can't believe he said that. Like whatever. Will Smith looks over at her, and then that's it. It's game on, and we all know what happens after that. So
I listen. I think it's either what Howard Stern said, and I alluded to earlier. You know, where the guy's just mentally unstable. I think the other avenue was staged. Lastly, it's like how, like you said, you get bent out over a joke over alopecia when you don't even know that that person knows the situation, or like you said, there's an innocuous joke about her dress or whatever. He's gonna rush the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just very weird. Going on to like another 80s superstar. Well, Will Smith's not 80s; he's more 90s. But what the hell happened to Bruce Willis, man? We were talking about the 80s just a couple of minutes ago.
Too many shots to the head. I don't know. What has he got? Acting CTE. He's got aphasia.
Aphasia, which I've never heard
of that
in my life.
It's
never heard of it in my life.
It's right
There's
after
a guy.
It's right after alopecia in the dictionary.
Dude, I've never heard the term in my life. I actually, after the fact, I've got a couple guys I follow on YouTube, some DJs that I follow, and one guy, he's like our age. He had a stroke about 10 years ago, and he's suffering from it too. And basically what he was explaining was something to the effect of where you kind of forget how to speak. You know, it's not only like after effects of a stroke or signs of dementia, it's like a whole nother animal. But I don't really have a great grasp on it, other than the fact that this guy's career is over. And he's had a phenomenal career too. I mean, we're talking about that off the air. I mean, you're talking Die Hard, Moonlighting, Pulp Fiction.
I'm trying to. All right, what year's Moonlighting? 86-ish?
Moonlighting is probably 84, 85 in that ballpark. 83 maybe as early as that. Had about a 4 or 5 year run, so I'd probably say 83, 84.
It puts him on the map, you know. Moonlighting,
like you said, he was bartending with Goodman, I guess, in the city.
85 to 89.
Okay,
so
that's about right.
Okay, yeah. Moonlighting puts him on the map. Obviously, he's a before Moonlighting, he's
a nobody.
Who's Bruce Willis? He's like you said, him and John Goodman are like bartending buddies in the city because both their careers at the time are like.
And Sybil Shepherd was the star of that show.
Yep. Sybil Shepherd.
She was the big name.
She was in that one movie. What was it? Last Picture Show.
Right.
But that was back in I think 1972. She had done a few other things. She'd been a taxi driver, and her career was kind of like floating around. So but she was the only name attached to that show.
She was the only big name. Exactly. And then you had other people too, like lower level, like you had Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. He was in it. I forgot his name.
Curtis Armstrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the woman who played the secretary was really a nobody. You had no one else, and then this guy Bruce Willis who shows up.
Right.
And I mean, he basically steals the show from her. I mean, well, she plays Sybil Shepherd was basically the straight man, if you want to put it, on that show, and he was always up to his crazy hijinks every episode.
Yeah.
So
he's another guy. My brother ran into him when he was working on the Upper West Side. Super nice guy. I guess when he got divorced from Demi Moore, he's like one of these guys when you talk about open marriages, he's kind of like got what's called an open divorce, where they're divorced, but they still kind of get together as a couple and nothing's wrong, or nothing happened. There's no bad blood between the two of them.
Well, it seems too, they were together for such a long time before they got divorced. I mean, they were married, I think, 20 years before they got divorced?
Yeah, something like that.
Plus you got 3 kids in common. They have 3 kids together. So I think it was the smart move to just try and stay friendly with each other. I mean, they just showed a picture. It was his birthday and she was there, Demi Moore.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, like he does that show, and then Then he does one, he does Die Hard, and then that's it. He's off to the races.
So off to the races. Die Hard. I guess there was kind of a lull between that and I guess Pulp Fiction was 94, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that was another thing too. They were like, his career was kind of in that limbo move was in limbo because he had, I think, a few bombs before Pulp Fiction.
I think The Last Boy Scout was somewhere in that ballpark, if I'm not mistaken.
He's got a couple of Die Hard movies before that, Last Boy Scout, but I think the one or two he does before Pulp Fiction is not really out there. What was it? Blind Date? Remember he had that movie Blind Date? That was a bomb.
Oh, that was bad. Was he on Seinfeld at one point?
No, I think he did Friends. I think he did a couple
Friends. That's right.
I think he did an arc on Friends, a few episodes on that. But he's another guy. If you look up his IMDb, he's got a ton of horrible movies in the 2000s up to a few years ago. He's got movies you've never heard of. You can go.
I guess. Yeah, no, I agree.
He's one of those guys. Stallone is the same way. Stallone has quite a few action movies I've never heard of. And when you look on either like Amazon or Netflix, you're like, when did this movie come out? And you see it's like
busy though. He was pretty busy though, man. I mean, even like in the time between, I guess, Die Hard and Pulp Fiction, The Last Boy Scout comes to mind. The Bonfire of the Vanities with Tom Hanks.
That was another huge, but that movie was a huge bomb. Bonfire of the Vanities.
Look Who's Talking. He was involved. He was
he's the voice of the kid,
voice, right? I'm just trying to think in that time period. Hudson Hawk, which wasn't great. Death Becomes
Bomb.
Her. Yeah.
Color
of Night.
Yeah, Color of Night I think was another bomb. You actually see his wang in that movie.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he does like a scene where he jumps in a pool naked and you see
Last Man Standing, I think, was 96, if I'm not mistaken, after Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, like I'm saying, a lot of these movies were bombs.
Fifth Element, that was a bomb. That was bad.
That was a bomb, but now, see, Fifth Element, I think, got cult status, though. If you look back on it now, a lot of people look at that movie with reverence. Great special effects. I don't think the story is that great. I don't think the movie is that great, but the special effects and parts of the story, Gary Oldman's great in it. He plays that bad guy.
He's a weirdo in that.
Yeah, he plays it very, he's Gary Oldman. He plays it very well. He pulls it off.
Then I guess then in 1997 or 98, he's got Armageddon, and then all of a sudden he's off to the races again.
Yeah.
That was a huge hit. And then the following year in 99, it was Sixth Sense.
Was that 99? Wow.
Sixth Sense was 99.
And then he follows up, what has he got? Like 2 or 3 years later, The Unbreakable and then
Whole 9 Yards. He was with the kid.
Whole 9 Yards, I think, is the first. The first one is funny. I don't think I watched the second one of that. They called it like the Whole 10 Yards or whatever, and it was kind of a bum. You know who loved him? Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah. Because he passed away at a young age, man.
Yeah. Michael Clark Duncan. I think Bruce Willis kind of discovered him.
Okay.
He put him in Armageddon. And then when the Whole 9 Yards came around, he wanted him for that role as like the enforcer muscle guy. And Michael Clark Duncan, I saw in a few, this is years before he passed away, but he always praised Bruce Willis. He goes, that guy really helped my career. So,
like I said, he seemed like a cool guy. My brother, who really isn't a big fan of a lot of celebrities, he met him and I guess Demi Moore. I guess they were living in his building, and he came across them. And he came home. He said, "Yeah, I ran into Bruce Willis today and Demi Moore." And he goes, "I go, what you think of him?" He's usually had some funny stories like Steve Martin or whoever. And he's like, they were actually pretty cool. The guy was cool. He goes, I think they were smoking weed or whatever, but definitely cool people. He was like a regular guy. She was super cool. He seemed like he seemed like one of us. I guess he was born in Germany, but he's bouncing around New Jersey for most of his early childhood and became a bartender in the city and kind of had like that quick wit, that Bill Parcells type sarcasm that, we all grew up with, on the playgrounds where you rip into each other, that kind of smart ass type shit, that we've all, exhibited, throughout our lives to an extent. But
yeah, I met him once.
Oh yeah.
I met him once working a side job doing security for one of his movies. I think the movie was Hostage, and we worked like one of the premiere parties at like Planet Hollywood in the city.
Okay.
And he walked right by me. The only thing I can say about Bruce Willis, he's got a ginormous head.
Yeah.
He's got like it was like a huge head that he had. But he walked by, he was, hey fellas, how are you? And
he's a decent sized guy. Like he's 6 foot something, right?
No, he's about my height. He's about 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah. Okay.
He wasn't that.
I get the impression for whatever reason.
Who did I see? I saw him that night, and I saw Stallone that night.
Okay.
With Sugar Ray Leonard, because he was. Remember, he had the show The Contender.
Yeah.
It was right around that time that movie came out, and Stallone's a smaller fellow. He was wearing like cowboy boots to look taller. But he was hanging out with Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard is another guy. He's a smaller guy. He was like a lightweight.
Seinfeld had an episode about it, and I got a buddy Ralph. If he's watching, he's a fan of the show. He's about my size. Ralph's actually a little smaller than I am, believe it or not. And we used to always goof on each other. He goes, "Muskie, you're wearing lifts.
You're lifting. You're lifting.
You're lifting." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're wearing boots, bro." He goes, "They're like 2-inch heels on those things." He goes, "That's lifting." And I remember the shit in the Seinfeld with the little guy going, he's lifting, that whole shit.
I like the other one too, when George wore the Timberlands. I'm getting 2 inches off of these things. I'm never taking them off.
Right. And I used to always get accused of that. I'd always wear my, they're like, I had a pair of Timberlands. I had the Nike Air boots. I got another friend, Mike, that I work with at my current job. He doesn't work there anymore. He's a little bit, he's probably a little bit bigger than me, but he's just, height wise, he's not the biggest guy in the world. And he's always like going back to back with me. And he's, he accused me of doing it as well, like with the lifts and stuff. Just funny shit. When you bring that up, but no, you're right. I think Sylvester Stallone I think he's 5'8" tops on a good day, that kind of shit.
Like I said, he was far away, but I saw him wearing like the cowboy boots. I'm like, this guy, he's lifting, man.
He's lifting, bro.
You know who was there too? I saw Kevin Pollak. He's tiny. He's a tiny fellow. Okay. Well, that's like going back to the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. I think someone said like Chris Rock is like 5'8". And Will Smith is like 6'2".
Right.
So it was like, and Will Smith looks like he's about 215, and Chris Rock still looks like he's Pookie from New Jack City.
Well, going back to the other guys for a second, right? When you talk about Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart's like 5'1" or 5'2". He's really small.
Yeah.
And going back to Cruz for a second, I think Cruz is smaller than I am. I think he's 5'5", 5'4", maybe.
Yeah, he's another guy supposedly, I think, that loves to heighten and
lifts, right?
Yeah. Well, Michael J. Fox is, I think, 5'4", they said.
I think he's 5'3", dude. I think he's 5'3". When you're a small guy like me, right? The height of all these guys, all the celebrities, like, wait a second, I'm bigger than that guy. Oh, wait a second, that kind of shit. But no, I think Pesci's a small dude.
Yeah, you could see that.
He's like 5'1", 5'2", that guy. Like, I think he's the same size as my mother, that guy, to be honest with you. Cruz is a small dude. Hart's a small dude, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
That guy, I guess Sylvester Stallone I guess you can consider him small, but I don't know how small he really is. Maybe 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah, I think he's like 5. I don't think he's like tiny. I just said he's about 5'7", 5'8". Yeah, it's amazing though when you do see like some of them in person. You're like, oh, this guy. I didn't think this guy would be that tall, and I didn't think this guy would be that tiny. So,
I guess it was really well with Cruz, anyways. I think it was really prominent when he was with Nicole Kidman, when he was married to Kidman.
Yeah, because I think she's 6 foot tall. So.
She's close to it, 5'10", 6 foot,
somewhere in that ballpark. Like
that. Yep. But whatchamacallit? What was up with Amy Schumer at this thing? I read something about her too. I mean,
Oh, she's still traumatized. That's what that was the last thing. Every article has been about her being, I'm still traumatized and processing it. You weren't even there when it happened.
right? Can
Like
somebody kick
how
her to the curb? I'm so sick of her.
how does anyone care? Like, come on.
Her,
No
Kathy
one,
Griffin, all these people. Get the F out of here, man. I'm so sick of them.
but I
Man.
mean,
You know, I could even
but-
see like some of these people who've had careers like Schumer's had nothing, man. I mean,
she had
realistically,
well,
I mean,
she had one hit movie. I think like one movie was a hit, the other one was kind of a bomb. That movie Trainwreck did very well. And her career took, I mean, she was a stand-up comedian for about 10 years.
right.
She did the movie Trainwreck, which I think she wrote. She had that, and she had the show on Comedy Central, which was, I think, the #1 show at the time because Chappelle was already gone. So she was like just in this whirlwind of success. Then she kind of like disappeared, got married, had a kid. She made another movie that didn't really go anywhere. It was kind of almost the same kind of movie. And now I think she's got a show on Hulu, which I haven't
You know who
I haven't checked out yet.
You're in the comedy circles, right? You know, you run a lot of, with a lot of comedians and stuff. You know who I think is infinitely funnier than Amy Schumer? The chick, the big girl from Molly, and what the hell is her name?
Oh, Melissa McCarthy.
She is hysterical, bro. I mean, I think compared to Amy Schumer, I would take her.
Well, she's not I mean, Amy Schumer is a stand-up comedian.
Hysterical, Melissa.
She's not McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy's not a stand-up. She's a comedic actor. And then, I mean, listen, she did that movie Bridesmaids, which like really put her on the map, and she's done a whole bunch of what was the one I saw with her? I like that Identity Thief. I thought she was
hysterical, dude. I peed my pants with that, and just Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Jason Bateman. They were both really good in that movie.
Hysterical, man. I peed my pants. She did some sort of superhero movie with I guess the girl from the movie about the astronauts and the African American ladies from the 60s.
Yeah.
That was a really good movie too. And I gotta be honest with you. I think someone like her just blows her away.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy is she's funny. She does a lot of great stuff.
Talking about Jason Bateman for a second. I just saw April 29th, I think, is the start of the final season of Ozark.
Oh, is it coming out? I thought it was supposed to be summertime.
Nope. We're getting Better Call Saul in a couple weeks, and we're getting the final season of Better Call Saul. We're getting the final season of Ozark. I know you haven't seen Better Call Saul or, even Breaking Bad to that extent, but I'm curious to see how that ends up, and how they tie it into like real time with Breaking Bad. Apparently, there's been some rumblings about some of the original actors like Heisenberg and Aaron Paul making appearances.
I definitely see that happening.
Yeah.
Without it, I see that as, here's my take on it. Not being I know what Breaking Bad is about. I kind of know I know what Better Call Saul is about. I just haven't watched these shows. Okay. The final thing of Better Call Saul is going to be like Star Wars Rogue One when they're passing the information.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's a good take.
It's going to be something exactly like that. And hey, if you're a Breaking Bad fan, you're going to love it. You're going to love watching if Bryan Cranston and who's the other kid, Aaron Paul, walk in.
I think you're going to get Aaron Paul. I don't know if you're going to get Heisenberg. But
I guarantee Bryan Cranston does it. I guarantee you'll see
phenomenal.
His face.
Who, by the way,
which is another guy. His career was over after Malcolm in the Middle. And and walked into that show and became a legend.
He's the anti-dentite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's another guy. His career, he has been around for a zillion years.
For years, 30 years, maybe 20, 30 years.
He was a nobody before Malcolm in the Middle, where he just plays the dumb dad. And then, Breaking Bad comes along and it turns him into like this pop culture icon.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I remembered him from Seinfeld. That's really the only thing I remember. Yeah. I didn't even remember him from Malcolm in the Middle.
He's Tim Watley.
Yeah.
He converted for the jokes.
The anti-dentite.
And this upsets you as a Jewish person? No, it upsets me as a comedian.
Hysterical, bro. On a couple different notes, in the DJ world, I saw that the CEO of Goldman Sachs is DJing Lollapalooza. Did you read about that or see anything about that, Mike?
Who's the CEO of Goldman Sachs?
Listen, he's got gazillions, right?
Yeah,
this guy, right?
Is he a young guy?
He's 60 years old, bro. He's got 11 years on us, right?
All right. I'm just gonna throw this out there. He is divorced and he has like a 24-year-old girlfriend, and he probably does ecstasy like every weekend.
I gotta imagine, dude. But he's 60 years old. He's gonna do a set at Lollapalooza. And he's been DJing for years, this guy. I mean, listen, it's one thing. I've been doing it for years too. Obviously I don't have a fraction of the money this guy has. But I gotta be honest with you. I mean, people do what they love. I kind of gotta respect them for that.
Now, do you think too, like Goldman Sachs threw Lollapalooza a lot of money?
Oh, absolutely.
And he was like, I'll give you X amount of money, but I want to do a set. And
like, I'm sure the guy can DJ. Yeah, I'm sure he's got,
like I said, this guy. Yeah. What's this guy's name? So I'm going to Google this guy after
David
the show.
Solomon.
I'm Googling this guy. I guarantee he is divorced with a 24-year-old girlfriend. He probably like goes to Ibiza like every other weekend, parties all night with her. They're doing Molly. They're doing ecstasy. Come on, man. Hey, good for him. You know what? Live the dream, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw it this morning, and I saw it on one of the shows that I watch, and I'm like, wow, Lollapalooza is still a big event, Mike. I mean, right. I think I lost you.
Oh, you got me now?
Now I got you.
All right.
Then I saw Mobius, whatever the hell it is.
Oh, Morbius? You saw it?
What a bad movie, bro. What a bad movie. So bad. Let me ask you this. What's the worst movies in our lifetime? Waterworld, Ishtar?
All right. Ishtar gets the bomb. I think because at the time it was like 40 mil to make that movie, and it just died. Waterworld was the same thing. I think Waterworld was like that first $100 million movie.
I'll throw another one out there that I actually kind of like, and I'm sure if my friend Pudge is watching this and Tony, they'll agree with me. Heaven Can Wait, which I happen to like with Warren Beatty. But is that in terms of like bombs?
Is that considered a bomb?
Yeah, huge bomb. Big budget and just crashed at the office.
Yeah, that was like his. That was like the top of his game. That mid to late 70s Warren Beatty.
Oh, huge.
Where he was just in like everything.
How good was? I mean, I like that movie. I mean, all things
considered,
I
always thought it was a decent movie. Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah, I did too.
See, that was the other thing too. Like you brought up Waterworld. All right, Waterworld bombed here, but I think had like this amazing like European box office to it, where the movie actually made like 300 million worldwide, but it was supposed to make like 700 million worldwide. Like it didn't make the money here.
So I guess there's box office bad and there's just bad.
They always
you turn it on and it's like, you just can't even watch it. Just so bad.
Yeah, I watched a documentary once where they just talk about like making movies in Hollywood. And they said for a movie to make money, if the movie costs $10 million, it's got to make $25 million at the box office just for it to make money.
Okay.
Usually 2.5 times whatever the movie costs. That's what they need for that movie to make money. So that's why I guess too, when you see these movies of it's got $140 million box budget or $100 million budget, like that thing's got to perform or they eat it.
But I guess what I'm getting at is like, look, there's box office bombs and there's just bad movies that you can't even watch. This is right up there. This is right up there with any movie that I've ever seen. There were a couple bad Kevin Costner movies too in the 90s. I think, obviously we talked about Waterworld. There was another one called The Postman. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. He had that.
Oh, he had that like. How bad was that one?
What was it? Like his post Dances with Wolves career has been atrocious. Like in the shitter. Like you said, yeah,
so bad.
That Postman bomb, Waterworld bomb, and they just kept throwing money at him.
So bad. Absolutely horrible.
But Morbius, you know what it is too, man? When you see these like that Morbius character is such a lower tier Marvel character.
It's annoying, bro. I mean, the guy's a vampire.
It's a vampire movie. That's all it is. It's a vampire movie. But like, what made it horrible? Was it the story? Was it
just so predictable? You know, just so disjointed story wise. You know, I would say the same thing about The Last Jedi. You know, the second of the new trilogy, in the sense that if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, I just watched that movie objectively, I'd be like, what the hell is this about? You know, that kind of vibe. That's what I got from it. You know, and you're right. That's not a big character in the Marvel universe. You know,
very, very lower tier character.
But on the flip side, you just saw Moon Knight is coming out on one of the streaming networks. So I'm curious to see how that does and what kind of story that is.
I've heard that's supposedly getting rave reviews. But here's the thing: they always say Moon Knight gets this comparison. They call him like the Marvel version of Batman. And I'm thinking, like, you were a Marvel guy. I'm a Marvel guy. When we were reading comic books back in the day in the 80s,
that was an afterthought.
Yeah, he was I never knew anyone that was like, oh man, I got to go get the new Moon Knight is out.
No.
Even his name is dopey, Moon Knight.
No, I agree with you 1,000% there. I barely remember the character. I remember the comic book, obviously. I mean, it just, you know, I remember the place where Rob worked up on
exactly. Yeah, I remember the place. I don't ever remember any time in my life saying I got to get the new Moon Knight.
No way. And to compare him to Batman,
they compare him. I think like the Moon Knight character, I think, is one of these guys that's had like 5 or 6 incarnations. So different people have played him. I think a couple of them have been like billionaire, playboy kind of dudes. So he's been compared, and he's also got the way Batman has like unlimited gadgets and toys. I think he's the same way.
Listen, I'll check it out. But I mean,
yeah, I'll give it a watch. But I just don't care anymore.
Did you catch the latest episode of the Lakers series?
Absolutely, it's my new go-to now.
Let me tell you, man, this Jerry Buss is a scumbag, bro. I mean, he's finger banging some chick in a restaurant, and his family comes there. I mean,
son, you gotta let a player play, man. Come on.
What a dick! And listen, I'm not.
Hey, he's dead, so he doesn't give a shit.
Scarred little genie Buss.
Spoiler alert. Hey, and she was no sweet. She did Playboy.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, she knew the deal. Come on. Yeah. I think it really is one of the bright spots lately of just like wanting to watch something, because I don't think I'm really watching anything else at this time. And it's just a great show. John C. Reilly is he's killing it. He's killing it.
Good, man. And you know, he's an annoying guy for me, but I gotta admit, you know, he's been in some good stuff throughout the years, and I kind of like his depiction of Buss. I'm not a big fan of the Pat Riley. I mean, we talked about it last week with
Adrian Brody. Not. Yeah, Adrian Brody, man. I don't like. I think
of Pat Riley, I don't think of some homeless schlep like that.
Yeah, the way they. Yeah, I do like the guy Jason Clarke, the guy who's playing Jerry West. That guy's a great character.
He was in the Terminator.
Yeah, he's one of the Terminator guys. Right. I think he's great in it. The other guy who's playing the general manager.
I like Magic, man. I think Magic is doing a good job.
The guy playing Magic. I tell you, he's still alive, and I'd be pissed if I was him, is Kareem. Like, they paint Kareem out as this guy that...
I think that's what Kareem's like in real life.
Yeah.
I think he's not really a great guy.
There's always been this, like, inside basketball... kind of like everyone knows why he has never gotten a coaching job, and it's because of his personality. He doesn't know. They say Francesa used to talk about this constantly.
Right.
Whenever Kareem came up, people go, "Why doesn't he coach?" And he said, "Because he's too smart. He's another guy that walks in. He thinks he's too smart for the room." And I'm not saying he's a dumb guy.
Oh no, he seems like a brilliant guy.
He seems like a guy that just reads books and did karate and whatever else.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of got like that Jordan mentality of, you can't raise it up to my level, so why am I even going to bother?
And listen, for the basketball fanatics out there, I think he's one of the 5 greatest of all time. I think he's completely underrated, in terms of Jordan and LeBron.
Well, I think it's
and
like
all these guys.
I think with him, it's just because of the time period when he played.
I mean, look, when we were growing up, we saw him towards the tail end, kind of like
exactly, yeah.
And he was still dominating towards the end, like 87, 88. He was still doing that goddamn sky hook. He was an unstoppable dude. My Uncle George actually played against him in high school. He said, my uncle is maybe about 5'10", and he's like, this guy was towering back then. I think he played for Rice or something.
No, he played at Powell Memorial.
Powell Memorial. My uncle went to Rice.
In Manhattan. I think Rice is gone now.
I think you're right.
Rice is gone. I think Powell Memorial's gone too. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Louis Alcindor, whose dad was a NYPD lieutenant back in the day.
Wow.
And
where was he born? Was he born in Manhattan?
I believe he grew up in either Harlem or Inwood.
Okay.
But he's a Manhattan kid.
He doesn't come off as a likable dude. He comes off as a very militant guy. Not very likable at all. I'm just trying to think of some of the other guys. I like Chickless a lot. As Red Auerbach. He wasn't too much in the last one, but he was very good. I haven't seen Larry Bird yet. Apparently, I don't know when he's supposed to be making.
I think a lot of these are going to be cameos. Like the Chickless character was 2 episodes. You haven't seen him.
Right.
Probably not going to see him till the end. I would say this series ends with them winning the championship and whatever. What is that? 84, 85 or whatever.
They won it. They won it his first year. They won it in Magic's first year. Magic played. Kareem got hurt that year
because they're talking about another season of this. That's why.
There's going to be another season, but his rookie year, Magic's rookie year, they win the title, and they win it with Westhead, who I kind of like.
Yeah.
I think
that character very, very wacky.
He's a famous guy too. That guy. He's been in a couple things. That guy. He was in I guess Finding or Amy something. Amy. What was that movie? That comedy movie. Something about Amy. I
have no idea.
I don't know. But
I looked him up earlier. He looks completely different from the guy he's playing. Because on the show he looks about 55 years old. I think the guy's about 40.
Oh, Paul Westhead?
Yeah, the guy that's playing Westhead. Yeah.
He's been in a lot of stuff. That guy. He's been in a lot of comedy films with Paul Rudd. He's been in a couple of Vince Vaughn movies, I think. Let's see. I'm just trying to figure the guy's name out. What the hell is he in? Jesus Christ. Anyways, they win it with Westhead that first year. Okay. And I think you're right. There is 2 seasons.
Yeah, Jack McKinney's the guy.
Right. That was 13. He was.
About
13 games, I guess.
You're talking about the guy Jason Segel that plays Westhead.
Jason Segel, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think what he's been in. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Oh, Forgetting Sarah Marshall and all
That's
of that.
Yeah,
the Muppet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the other guy that played the guy McKinney.
Something else interesting coming out on HBO Max in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if you saw it, called The Invisible Pilot.
No. What is this?
What an interesting story. It's about a guy who I guess was involved with the CIA and Pablo Escobar. And apparently at one point he somehow runs into Escobar. I guess he stages his suicide. His family kind of plays it off like he's dead. He reappears. He moves all throughout the country, throughout the world. He has multiple families. I guess he's running information for the CIA in the 80s and getting information about the Contras down in Nicaragua. Then he's turning around. He's running drugs for Escobar. And then I guess he's contracted by the CIA. Besner, I think the guy's name is. Kind of reminded me a little bit about the D.B. Sweeney story, where the guy just disappeared and stuff. And I'm going to check it out. It's a 3-part documentary.
Did it come out yet, or is it out?
No, no, this week. I think April 4th to the 9th. I think it's coming out. But
you didn't watch. You didn't watch the Marilyn Manson one yet, right?
No, I want to check that out too.
Yeah,
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I checked it out. It was all right. I mean, it's one of those things. Like, what is it really going to tell you? This guy's a freak show. Listen, Marilyn Manson's
He's a freak show.
He's a freak show to begin with. He's definitely one of these dudes that, like, you could tell groomed women. He's coming off a divorce. He meets that girl, Evan Rachel Wood, who is like, she's 18, he's 35. So already the creep vibe is out there with this dude. He begins grooming her. He brands her with a branding iron type of deal. Like, the guy just, the guy's like a complete piece of garbage.
I actually enjoy some of his music, you know.
Oh yeah, he had a great run of music, but like, you start watching this and it's like, but then it goes back and forth of like, is some of it just her kind of being like a little bit of a drama queen, and this guy being a whole lot of a freak?
No, I think I don't think
there
so.
is a lot of give and take. Like, I'm not saying when she got branded or whatever, that's fucking insane. But there's other things like when you sit down and watch it, there are other little things where she's like, you know, she's one of these people that definitely believes in like microaggression and things like that. So I find
reading stories about him like putting people on his head or putting vice versa.
He's
like,
a
ball sack on somebody's head, that kind of shit.
Like I said,
he's a weird dude, man.
The guy's a freak. So, you know, he's another guy that's not going to have a lasting legacy, if you will, like that. You know, okay, I did all this great music, but now he's going to be known for all this shit.
You know what, Mike? I think he'll have his niche in history, and I think why is because I think he kind of got tied into that whole Columbine shit.
Yeah, that was a big deal with him.
So I think whenever that shit comes up, I think, you know, he'll still be kind of turned, you know, intertwined with it. Which, by the way, is coming up soon. The anniversary of that. That's a screwed up date. I don't know if you've ever looked into that.
Yeah, that's Hitler's birthday, right?
April 19th is Ruby Ridge, Waco, Texas. It's Columbine, all on the same day, man. Just a wacky ass day. I think, like you said, it's Hitler's birthday.
Oh, it's Hitler's birthday. Hitler's birthday might be the 8th. Isn't it like April 8th or something? It's
Hitler's
April.
birthday might be the 20th or some shit like that. Wehrmacht, some crap like that.
I don't know.
There's about 3 or 4 things that happened that day. I think the American Revolution started that day as well, April 19th.
Really?
Yeah. Concord or Lexington, one of those battles.
April 20th is Hitler's birthday, which is weird. 420 is such a mellow day for most people. Now I don't get that. Hitler's birthday. And he died 10 days after. April 30th is when he allegedly died.
Allegedly, right? You ever see that documentary? I think we talked about that at some point.
Which one?
The History Channel thing?
Oh, the Finding Him?
Yeah, where they allege like he, you know, was whisked away and
got on the went on
tunnels.
The submarine from Portugal to South America.
I brought it up to my Uncle George one time and he flipped on me. He was like, it's all bullshit. I'm like, listen, I'm not saying it's not bullshit, but there's some legitimacy. You know, there's some CIA notes and American intelligence stuff. You know.
Hey, man, you know,
they never identified. They never had.
The body thing, and then you had the other thing of, to me, it was just like afterwards, like Operation Paperclip, where they just started shuffling these Nazis all around. Like, some of you were coming with us, some of you were going over here. Yeah. How easy was it to get these guys lost in the mix? Fake passports. Like we said, they had access to submarines, so who knows?
Even Eva Braun, you know, they never identified her remains. I think even after the fact. Yeah. But who knows? Who knows? Crazy shit.
I want to say with that, we should start wrapping this up.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been a great show. Plug away, baby.
Next week, hopefully we get into the Eric Adams stuff. You know, I think he's doing a great job, but I want to have you educate the crowd out there about the broken window policies of NYPD and what he's trying to implement. So hopefully we can get into that next week. And I wanted to touch upon the 25th anniversary of the Titanic movie at some point. You know, it's kind of a little after the fact of the Oscars, but we can get into that a little bit. Little Hunty's laptop is coming to fruition. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get some a little bit more information, maybe talk about that. I know some of you folks don't like the politics standpoint, but I think that's going to be a pretty big story. And in terms of plugs, we'll plug away here. So we'll start off with Jay Cristiano and Cardinal Financial, 844-442-7334. Use the promo code 4215. Refi market, purchase market. Rates have gone up, but Jay's super quick. He'll help you. My buddy Vladdy, Frederick's E9 Bistro on 53 Bruckner Boulevard in the Bronx. Eugene's Place, Eugene Piscicretta's Piazza Pizza in Rye, New York. You can reach out to Eugene for your catering needs. Sit-down restaurant, Italian fare, 914-921-4444. Our buddy Mike Power in Wilmington, I believe, in North Carolina.
Mike
alumni. Celtic Monkey seems to be doing really well. He had a great big St. Patrick's shindig. It looks like he's doing very well. If you're in that area, stop by his place. Tommy Devitt. It's 5-Star Shopping by Tommy, 917-559-8264. His Mad Donkey. It's on 36th Avenue in Astoria, New York. Check Tommy's place out or use his shopping network. And lastly, me, DJ Chris Clash, www.chrisclash.com. I'm actually booked in June. I mean, I've got literally no open dates at this point in that month. Things are picking up, folks. Wedding season is coming about. Graduations, sweet 16s, you name it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me recently, so you can reach out to me on Facebook, Twitter, through the show. If you want to leave a comment in the comments section, let me know. I'll try to work you in if you have something. And just please keep on subscribing, folks. You know, the channel's still growing. Please click like, subscribe. Appreciate everybody who's been tuning in the last couple of weeks and helping us continue to grow. And with that, turn it off to Mr. Miguel and end the show.
Just my usuals. Check out Jack at I Can Paint, Pat Dixon at the New York City Crime Report and Notorious NYC. You can look him up on the Locals channel. Get the locals.com, I believe it is. You can get the episodes. And that's about it. I should have some dates coming up end of April. I'll let you know when they are. And with that, we will see you next week, everybody. Be safe.
See you in the movies, folks.
Peace.